Greg and Dan Show, WMBD, Jukebox Comedy Club. Perfect weekend to go over there and get tickets to see Ben Bailey. Ben Bailey is the headliner tonight, tomorrow night, 2 shows each, 8 and 10:30. And I always feel weird about this. Good morning, Ben, first of all.
Good
It's
morning.
a pleasure to have you in our studio. We've had you on our
you.
show a few times, actually.
Yeah.
But always by phone. We've
Always
never had
by
the pleasure
phone.
of you being in our studio.
I only come to Peoria when the weather is bad and it's tough to get here.
Yeah, well, good. It worked out great then. Today.
Yeah.
And I want to give you an award today. You are our tallest comedian.
all right.
I believe.
I don't know. We had there's a few Drew Hastings.
Brian
pretty-
Posehn. Brian Poseh's
Brian
pretty tall.
Posehn.
I'm taller than Brian.
Okay,
Okay,
good. You can
all
take
right,
him
good.
one-on-one.
He's
for
funnier
sure.
looking than I am, but
Yeah,
I'm taller
yeah.
than you.
Yeah. You're very regular looking.
And we
Yeah.
smell different.
Really? Well, I can
Yeah.
I can
Different.
attest to that.
I'm
as
not
well.
saying bad or
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, I got you.
Just different.
I'm with you. But I want to ask you this: Is it offensive? I don't want to be offensive to you because you're a nice person. You're our guest. But
Okay.
Cash Cab is how most of us
Yeah,
know
everyone
you.
was like, "Hey, it's Cash
Right.
Cab guy
But
coming in."
you've been a
Right,
comedian
right.
for 20 years. I don't want to offend that, but that's how most of us know you. Is that okay to say you're a Cash Cab guy?
Oh, yeah, sure. I am the cash cab guy, and there's no way I'm ever going to shake that.
Isn't that
And I wouldn't
funny?
want to. It's,
Now,
people like the show enough that everyone's friendly and nice.
Yes.
No one. I don't get a hard time about it.
Well,
so
and one of the
I'm happy to be the cash cab
And
guy.
one of the reasons is that you have this unique talent of being entertaining, funny, nice, and drive a cab. And people think, well, that looks like a good guy. And so there's a
Right.
goodwill that comes to you because of that show.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I tried to be nice to people on the show. They didn't want
Yeah.
me to be. They
Oh,
initially
really?
they were like, be mean to them, make fun of them when they give you
Never made a
ridiculous
mistake.
answers.
Yeah.
They say stupid things, rip them apart. And,
Right.
But I was like, you know what? That's not really me. There's enough mean people on TV.
Right.
Why don't I just be nice to them and see how that works?
Holy smokes, what a great idea.
Oh, what a great idea.
And they were like, I don't know. That literally, the producers are kind of looked at each other like, I don't know if that. You want to be nice on
Isn't
TV?
that
I don't know if
crazy?
that's a good idea. You know?
You're going against every consultant who's out there.
Yeah.
You know,
Be mean.
here's the one thing, Greg, and I just thought about this. In this day of distracted driving and texting and driving,
Right.
and the fact that the U.S. Secretary of Transportation is from our town, Ray LaHood, I'm surprised he hasn't banned doing a TV show while driving.
Yes.
Right.
I tell you what,
You
we
can't
need to-
text message.
Are you still filming that show? Is
No.
it run as okay?
It's done,
Because
yeah.
what I would have loved, we could probably arrange for Ray LaHood to get in the back of the cab.
Yeah.
That would be a moment that I would forever
Yeah.
cherish. That would be fantastic.
We could still do it. I bought the cab.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sitting in my garage at home right now.
No way.
Yeah.
Do you ever
maybe
drive
I'll
it
out
around?
here. Once in a while.
Yeah.
I take it out.
Yeah, you should drive it out here.
I'll drive it out here.
Home is in New Jersey, right? So
Yep,
you drive out from
yep.
New Jersey, you take a. Well, no, just swing by D.C. and pick up Mr. LaHood on his way.
I'll
back
go
to
pick him up.
Peoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll shoot down to D.C.
That would be fantastic.
The
The
people
lights
that
go
work
off.
at Discovery Channel in Silver
Yeah.
Spring will
Yeah.
try to steal the cab from me
Yeah.
while I'm in the area because
That is awesome that you have the cab.
I'm pretty psyched about it.
Yeah.
The production company, I said, what are you guys going to do with the cab now? And they're like, we're going to sell it. And I was like, to me?
Nice.
To me, you're going to sell it? And they're like,
Nice.
yeah, if you want it. I'm like, yes, of course.
Dr.
yeah.
Pry, was that fairly lucrative for you?
It was good.
Yeah.
If you total up the numbers, I think I am the biggest winner in the cash cab up to this point.
Good.
Unfortunately, they did not pay you in cash. So
No.
that would have been even better.
That would have been even better.
Tell
yeah.
us what else is you off air. You were telling me you've been working on a movie that you can't say too much about, but you can.
Yeah,
say-
I can tell. I'm sorry to cut you off. I
That's
can
all
tell
right.
you the name of it and all. It's called The Delivery Man. It stars Vince Vaughn. I have a small part. There's an article came out. Like, I have good agents. Like, it came out in Variety that I was co-starring, and I'm like,
Nice.
co-starring.
Nice.
I'm like, that's an overstatement. If you can co-star and be in
That's
4 or 5 scenes,
That's
I am.
great.
But it's pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. Vince Vaughn's the star of the movie.
Is that something you
So it
want
was-
to expand? You wanna
Yeah,
do more
yeah.
movies?
That's how I kind of got into stand-up. I always wanted to act. I've always loved movies, even though everyone was always telling me I should be a comedian because I was a real.
Cut up.
I don't know if I can say what I was about to say.
A smart ass.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's okay.
you can say
You
smart ass?
No,
Oh.
we can't say it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was a real cut up at school, and everyone thought I would be a comedian or should
Well,
be
in
a
fact,
comedian.
you've told this story on this show before, but I find it so cool that for folks who don't know you, how you got started. You start the evening where you're working at a comedy club, not on stage. You're working there,
Yeah.
right, as a
Yeah.
doorman or something.
I was
or-
working there doing all kinds of stuff. I was answering the phones.
Yeah.
I would be the bouncer.
Yeah.
I was a bartender. I did whatever kind of needed to
Right.
be done. It's that kind of place. The Comedy Store.
Yeah.
It's like there's just there's 100 comedians hanging around, and most of them are working there doing stuff at the same
But
time.
the evening rolls to an end, and you're all sitting around having a beer or whatever, and you're telling stories, and they assume that you're
They thought I
already
was a
working.
comedian. Yeah. I was just telling a story, this kind of crazy story of how I ended up in L.A., and I had an audience by the end of it, and one of the guys produced a show on Fridays there, and he said, how long have you been doing stand-up?
Did you lie and say?
I said I just started.
There you go. Not a lie. Not a lie.
Not really a lie, but not enough to let him know that I had never done it before.
See, that's a great story. That's one of those you take the opportunity that presents itself and go with it.
Yeah, well, I said no initially.
Oh, did you really?
I said no. I was scared. I was like, he said, "Do you want to do my show Friday?" I was like, "No, I can't." Even though I had
I have an
absolutely
appointment.
nothing.
Yeah.
I've got an appointment. I'm very busy Friday at around midnight.
Yeah.
But then I changed my mind, and he had given me his card. Luckily, the next day I sort of came to my senses, and I was like, "I'm not doing anything. I'm making $4 an hour working, at the club. I might as well. I should give it a shot." Everybody always said I should be a comedian. I'll give it a shot.
That was 20 years ago now.
Yeah. And I took one shot at it. I got a laugh with the first thing I said,
Man.
and I was done.
You're hooked, yeah.
I was hooked
Yeah.
immediately.
And is it? It sounds like from the comedians we've had in here that comedy is kind of like any other industry, where it's just kind of knowing people to get your breaks here and there and working your way up, right?
Well, I always said the only real path that you have to follow in comedy is your own progress as a comedian, because you really don't know where it's going to lead. Other than that, like, there's no structure. There's no like, all right, if I do this by middle of next year, then I get a promotion, or there's none of that. You're just out there on your own. So I never focused on who I knew or making connections or any of that. I just was like, I'm just going to try to be the best comedian that I can be, and hope that everything will come along with that.
And is there, but still among comedians, is there kind of a network of support? Everyone kind of takes care of each other and props each other up?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. There's also a very stiff competitiveness
Yeah, I was
at
going
the
to say,
same
there's
time.
probably a contingent of guys that don't do that.
There
but,
is.
yeah,
There
but
is. It
they're
depends where
small.
you go,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
It's very competitive in New York, but sort of like out of necessity. I mean, there's like, at this point, when I started doing stand-up, there was probably 50 guys doing stand-up in New York City. Now there's probably 500.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's just... the competition is such that you can't really be friends with everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Ben
You can be friends, but know that
Yeah.
everyone's out for, there's only a certain number of spots.
Right.
And everybody wants them.
746, Ben Bailey's at the Jukebox Comedy Club, 673-5853. You can leave your name, and Dan Conlon will take care of you. 2 shows tonight, 2 tomorrow, 8 and 10:30. Jukeboxcomedy.com is the website. You can get your tickets taken care of completely right there. Just go online and do so.